you're starting to eliminate the fear and the caution, right? It's starting to go down because the horse is like,
Mm,
you see me, you hear me, you feel me. Like this is,
yeah.
I have something to say here. When the horse tunes into that and they feel that, that starts to lower their guard. And Mustangs have this super high self-preservation.
There are healers on this planet with the power to soften the suffering of mankind, yet they have remained in the recesses of the world, abused, discarded, and labeled as trash. This is The Touch of a Mustang. I am your host, Shalise Clough, and I'm here to tell the story of wild horses, Mustangs, and the humans who are discovering and sharing their gifts while working to protect their well-being and preserve their spirit, so this divine power won't be lost. Join us on this quest with the wild Mustang. Wes Taylor is a TEDx speaker, clinician, horse and human science behaviorist, relationship mentor, and Mustang trainer. When his life suffered financial ruin, he received a message to follow the Mustang, and as he did, it completely transformed his world. I'm here today with Wes Taylor, and I am so excited to share your story because I've seen it some online and heard a little bit about it. And so I would love for more people to hear how Mustangs have impacted you and changed your life and led you on your journey that you're on now.
Oh boy. Okay. How much time do we have? Like, I'll have to, do we want the full docu-series or we want to do like the little mini infomercial?
Yeah. I mean, we want to get deep.
Sure.
So, you didn't really start out growing up with Mustangs or horses, did you?
Right. And I didn't. And that's a kind of a key factor that I like to share or to talk with people about is that you don't need to be, you don't need to be fifth generation cowboy to go
Yeah.
and do this or to have horses. And a lot of people know that, but also a lot don't. Or when they kind of get into struggle with their horse, they think, oh, well, it's because, I haven't had horses my whole life or whatever. And I think my story is a good story. That's just not true at all. That isn't how it goes. I didn't really get into to horses until I was a horse owner in my 30s. My kids had horses, and I meant that exactly the way I said it. My kids had
Yeah.
horses.
You were supporting them.
I was
Yeah.
just, I was just the stall boy and the driver, right? And that was
Yeah.
really new. Was that my daughter just really enjoyed horses, and so I got a horse for her, and that's kind of what got me into it. So I was in my late 30s, I'd say kind of 35-ish age. But I didn't myself get into horses until I was 40. And then that's when I really got into it for me is like, whoa, what is this? What can I do here? And that's when I was introduced to the Mustang was at 40. I went and as every new horse owner, like this is the recommended path. Like if you're very, very new to horses, go get a very, very horse that is new to people. Like,
Yeah.
go
That's setting you up for success right there, right?
that's a great model to follow, but I don't know. So I went to the BLM and got two Mustangs because, one's, you buy one, you get one half off. So what the heck?
Yeah.
And anyway, so it didn't start till I was 40. And then I feel that's value for folks. It's not too late. There's never too late. It's just how much desire and drive and want to do you have on whatever it is that you're
Yeah. I love that message because what I felt like at the time was older, getting horses back into my life and kind of thought, oh, is this a good idea? Late 30s or whatever. So there is still a lot of living to do after you are 30 and 40. Definitely.
Yeah, yeah. It's been a phenomenal journey. I've loved every minute of it. A lot of there's been a lot of pain, a lot of suffering, a lot of confusion, a lot of chaos, a lot of that in just the development or kind of understanding and getting to know myself and getting to know
Yeah.
how to interact with horses. That's been a life journey for sure.
Yeah. So what took it from your kids have horses to, hey, you are going to get horses and Mustangs on top of that, the ones that are labeled dangerous, hard to handle, difficult horses.
Yeah. Uh, Gosh, my kids kind of let it in, in 4-H, just doing that. And then I kind of had I guess the best way to describe it, and some people call it a midlife crisis, or kind of your life just falls completely apart. And that definitely
Mm,
happened at 40 for me. At 40, I really had a real awakening in life at the time, it seemed very disastrous. It was,
Yeah.
financial cleansing. I just really got wadded up in a lot of my business and the things that I was doing. I wasn't in the horse profession, but I owned horses. And anyway, after this kind of midlife crisis happened, I had a moment to stand back and reflect and just really decide, man, what do I really want to do? Not what am I good at or what can I do?
Mm-hmm.
I want to do. And I
Mm.
really sat with that as I had the opportunity because life was starting over for me. I lost everything. I lost my home, my toys, my cars, trucks, horse trailers, like all the things got gone. They were just completely just taken away in the 2008 era. As many of us that went through that financial cleansing, we all remember that. And I was at a place to start over, and I just was asking myself, what do I want? And I just had a bit of a message there of I want to do something with horses. I didn't know what it was. I didn't even know what that meant, but I was like, that feels like what I want.
Hmm.
And so from that, I just started kind of asking questions and exploring a little bit, trying to, well, what's out there? Well, what is this? What is the horse industry? What's there?
Yeah.
Now that's where I ended up out at a BLM facility, one of their public auctions, and I just went out to go check it out. They were doing,
Uh-oh.
yeah, I went to check it out. They were doing an adoption in St. George, and
Mm-hmm.
down and looked at these Mustangs, and they were all in the pens and kind of scared and anxious, and a lot of high energy in there, people all around, and
Yeah.
hung in the background and looking at it, and I was like, man, I sure feel like these Mustangs right now. I sure feel lost and confused,
Oh, yeah.
stressed and anxious. I don't know what to do. I don't know what I want to do. And anyway, that was the bug, man. I got it right there. And that began the journey. Then I started really researching Mustangs, and then I ended up adopting two Mustangs probably about 4 months later. And then that started the everything you don't know about horse journey. That's the
Yeah.
show you everything you don't know about horses right off the bat. And so when we went from there, I took these two Mustangs, and like I said, I lost my house. Like I lost my home, my wife and kids. We just didn't have anywhere to live really. And I reached out to my family, and my grandfather's home, his little ranch house, he had just recently passed away, and they didn't quite know what they were going to do with the property. And I kind of begged and pleaded, man, can I go there and regroup?
Yeah.
I need to start over. Can I go to grandpa's and start over? We worked a deal out, the family, where I was able to do that. And now actually I own that property. I was able to buy it, and we've come full circle, and now
Hmm.
we host horse events there and do things. But that was kind of how I got started. It was a rough, bleak, unknowing start. There was no picture on the wall to try to get to. It was just, I don't know. Each step was a new step.
Yeah. How did you feel, sure enough, like your life has crumbled and you get this idea, maybe I'll do something with horses? That's a I don't know. I can't speak for everyone, but I know my horses have only cost me money. They have not they've given me lots of other things. They haven't given me any money yet. How did you kind of stick to that idea that horses are gonna be the next thing?
Great question. And there's a little bit of a story to this. So if I'll share it
Yeah.
as quick as I can, but yet as we need to. But I was pretty lost after losing everything. And a great question.
Yeah.
Like, how do you restart with that? And my wife took me to a guided meditation, a group guided meditation. And for me at the time, Shalise, I mean, that was a stretch for me to go to a guided meditation. I was like, baby, you and your woo woo friends, like, you just go hang out with them. Like, that's not me. And I was
Yeah.
just very, very like, that's not my space. But I also was very lost and very confused. And so I was like, oh man, I need to try new things. So I go to this guided meditation, and I'm sitting in the group with everybody, and the facilitator's kind of talking us through. They're playing some music. And Shalise, this is probably one of the first times that my mind actually got quiet, and I tuned
Mhm.
into the quiet. Like I was pretty high go, like high energy, like things had to be happening all the time. And I was really just a mover and a shaker getting things done. And so now here I am completely spun out and lost in life, sitting in a group meditation with, 100 people that I don't even know. And I'm just now starting to like connect with myself, or for the first time, I'm starting to feel me and feel this quietness. And so during this moment of kind of this quiet space, I didn't see a vision and I didn't hear anything, but I just had a knowing that kind of just landed, that just was
Yeah.
here was this message. And the message was, West, if you'll follow the Mustangs, they have a journey for you.
Wow. And specifically Mustangs?
Yes, specifically Mustangs.
Wow.
Specifically Mustangs. And I was like, what's up with these Mustangs? Like this, I went to the public adoption, a little while before, a couple of months, and I
Mm.
saw, that's the first I'd ever really known of them. And now I'm sitting in this, woo-woo-y meditation thing. And I'm like, here's Mustangs again. What's going on? What is this? And I wrote it down on the piece of paper. I jotted it down. West, if you'll follow the Mustangs, they have a journey for you. I wrote it down. And then some more quiet goes by, and the message comes to me: if you will follow the Mustangs, they will show you how to have an honorable transition for them from wild to be with man. Like there was like a promise, like if you follow, we will show you this kind of a thing.
Wow.
And I was
Mm-hmm.
super. I didn't know how to understand that. I'll be honest. Like I was like, I wrote it down, and I even nudged my wife, and I was like, decipher this, woo woo wizard. What does this mean? What do I do with this? And she was like,
She had no idea what it meant, huh?
was
What
like,
was going to come down from it.
and so I'll be honest, like that has been my model to follow it's follow the Mustangs. Not lead them, not take them somewhere, not go show them off or not this. It was to follow the Mustangs. And I'm still deciphering what that means to me
Yeah.
as I go through life. But I left that meditation that day. We went back to the ranch house that we just moved into Grandpa's place. And I was like, I get to go adopt a Mustang. I'm going to go adopt a Mustang. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to adopt a Mustang. And my wife's like, what do you know anything about Mustangs? What?
This is your fault. You took me to the meditation.
It's your woo-woo thing that did it. So here I
Yeah.
go. No, she was supportive, and she was like, well, what does that mean? And I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Wow.
we went and adopted and got these 2 Mustangs, brought them back home to my grandfather's little ranch house there. And honestly, Shalise, I sat there and I was so spun out in life, and I was so cranked up in my head. I had so much going on. I told my wife, I said, I'm going to take the next 5 years off and figure this horse thing out. Like I'm going to take the time and figure this out. And she's like, how are we going to live? What are we going to do? And
Yeah.
I'm like, we're already dead broke. Like you don't get any broker than we are. Like we're already at the bottom.
Yeah.
Like taking 5 years, I don't know. I'll dig ditches. I'll change sprinklers. I'll do day ranch work. I don't know. We'll do something.
Which
But
at that point, it sounds like it was a blessing that everything had kind of been stripped from you. It was like
totally,
there was not much left to lose.
totally, Shalice. Like I wouldn't have planned that in my life. I wouldn't have been like, hey, you know
Yeah.
what I'm gonna do? I want to wipe out my life, and I want to
Yeah.
start with Mustangs and have this grand adventure. Like no way, no
Yeah.
way. So it was scary. I mean, it was scary. My wife was
Yeah.
petrified. If you ask her the story, her mind, she was like, what the hell? 5 years of nothing? Like, what does that mean? Like, what? But we didn't have anything. Like
Yeah.
we had a cell phone bill and groceries and gas like that. I was reduced down to the simplicities of life to try to make it. And so it gave me the time that I could do that. And Shalise, I really did. It took me 5 years to unwind. I was so wound up.
Mm.
And it took me 5 years of hanging around this with the Mustangs and me trying to learn how to communicate with them and learn how to train and learn how to do things. And there wasn't a lot of learning. There was just a lot of experiments and a lot of struggle. But I had
Hmm.
the time. And I would just walk out there to that corral every day and just stand out there and be like, I hope I can figure something out. Meaning, I hope I can figure me out. I hope I can figure
Yeah.
I hope I can figure something out because I really feel like I'm lost right now. I really don't know what I'm going to do.
Yeah. I think giving yourself that time was also probably a huge benefit. What made you decide like you need to take a break from trying to keep up with the world?
I felt it at the time. I was like, if I just go back to work, like we had this bad financial thing happen, right? We lost the cars,
Hmm.
trucks, and the trailers and the toys, and we just lost all the stuff. And I was like, if I just go back to work, that will be the model that will recreate what I just lost. And I don't
Yeah.
want to go recreate stuff. I don't want to just go recreate income. I don't want to just go create a job, go have a job. I already knew I could do that, but I didn't know how to build me. I didn't know how to find me.
Yeah.
That's what was really missing before. Like I had all this stuff on the surface, had the right house in the right neighborhood and all the right things to look the right way, but I didn't know me, and that's what I wanted to find. So I was willing to. No, I don't want any stuff. I don't want any business. I don't want a job. I want to figure out who and what I am, and
Yeah.
and that's at 40. This was at 40. Like at 40, you're supposed to have everything figured out. I thought, I was like,
Yeah. Oh man, we can relate. Yeah.
So it was just like you said, looking back on it, everything lined up perfectly, for me to be in
Yeah.
the right places at the right time to learn about me. But I never would have had the guts to do it myself. No way.
Yeah. And how is your family through all this? Were they just rolling with the punches? Was that also challenging?
It was challenging because the previous life, before, when everything was good, like my boy was into motocross racing, my girl was into high school rodeo, so we were doing horse stuff and motocross races and chasing around and doing all these high energy, high adrenaline things. But when you lose everything, all of that goes away. That was a tough conversation for me to sit down with my kids
Yeah.
and be like, hey, you remember that dream life that you think is just normal? It's gone. It's not
Yeah.
happening. No more motocross races, no more high school rodeo, no more doing those things. Like, I'm sorry, but that's gone. And we're in this mode now. We're living on the farm and we're here. What we have
Yeah.
is other, and that's all. We're gonna build from this. And they rolled with it. They were kids. They were heartbroken for sure, all their friends and everything, but they were like, well, okay, Dad, what does this look like? I'm like, looks like we live on a farm in a very, very small town out in central Utah. Your high school, your class, you're probably going to have 15 kids in your class instead of 1,500. It's going to look way different,
Way different lifestyle.
but we're going to be together. That's all I kept telling them, is like, well, we're together. That's all that we really have. And so we're going to just pull together. We're just going to figure this out. I don't know what we're going to do, but we're going to do it together. And it actually ended up really cool. We had some phenomenal experiences come through.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. That's really neat. So tell me about the Mustangs and training them and learning about them. How did that go? You have these two untouched Mustangs. Were they?
Yeah. 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 Two, like, I think this was before the tip program was even around, or I don't know, maybe it was, and I just didn't even know about it. I don't think it was, but anyway, they were untouched. So it was rough. It was rough. It was confusing. I
Hmm.
didn't know anything. So I was searching around online, like, this is in 2008, YouTube's around. So there's some things I can find on YouTube. I'm just trying to find whatever I can. The message of follow the Mustangs really started to come around as I had these two Mustangs at home. And I was doing a Mustang competition. Like I'd done some enough work with the two that I had, and I went and got another one, right? And I was advancing along, and I ended up going to one of those Mustang makeover competitions. I thought, hey, there's a thing to do. I already know nothing about horses. Let's go enter in front of and see what we can do.
The great ideas keep coming.
Yeah. And so I get this Mustang and go to this competition. And my point in this is that I met a guy at the competition, and he come up to me, in between some of the shows, the events, and he was like, hey, West, I really kind of been following you online. I like this horse that you've got. I'm interested in bidding on him. Tell me about him. And we talked, and he looked at the horse, and I thought, hey, this is so cool. Like, I already got a buyer for my horse. Like, this is going to be great.
Yeah.
And so we go through the competition and we get to the auction, and this guy's not bidding on my horse. And I'm like, oh, I thought I had a guy. And anyway, somebody else buys the horse. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, I didn't know how these things were supposed to go. But anyway, my guy didn't buy the horse. And we went home from the competition, and I think I placed like third or fourth place or something, and that was awesome. Like, I was glad to
Yeah.
place anywhere. I was like, wow. And so I had this, kind of a swag bag full of goodies, things from sponsors. And I get home, and I'm going through that bag, and there's a book in there. And I'm looking through the book, and the front cover of it is Evidence-Based Horsemanship by Dr. Stephen Peters and Martin Black. And I'm like, cool, a book. And I flip over the back cover, because that's what I do. I'm a guy. I'm like, let's read the back thing. Let's read.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to read the book. Let me just sort it out.
Yeah.
I flip it over and I read the back, and there's a picture of this guy, and it's Dr. Steve Peters, the neuroscientist that wrote the book. And I'm reading through, and I look back at the picture, And I kind of zoom in. I'm looking in. I'm like, that's the guy that wanted to buy my horse. Holy cow, that's the guy that said he wanted to buy my horse. Now I'm interested. Now I'm back to the front of the book and
Yeah.
now I'm reading like crazy. So I read through the book. I mean, there's terms in there like, dopamine and cortisol and adrenaline. Like, I don't know what these things mean. I didn't know the parasympathetic nervous system from a kite flying in the sky. I had no idea. Anyway, I look up this doctor and I was like, I got to meet him. I got to talk to this guy.
Mm-hmm.
This is where Follow the Mustang really started resonating. I was like, the Mustang got that guy to come talk to me. I didn't get the guy to come talk to me. This Mustang did.
Yeah.
Follow the Mustang. What's the Mustang brought me this guy? Who's this guy? So I just researched him, found him. And it's a funny story. I call in his office, like Cowboy West out in Utah, trying to figure out Mustangs. Like I'm calling a neuroscientist office in Salt Lake City, Utah, and I'm just trying to call Steve, like this guy.
Yeah.
Can't just call and talk to a neuroscientist. Like they're not just available for the public. But I'm calling and calling, and anyway, he finally gets a message like, "Yeah, stop by and see me sometime." That was all it took.
Yeah.
All it took. I pulled into his parking lot with my big, noisy, rattly Dodge truck and a gooseneck trailer full of horses. And I come pulling in there and take up, 18 parking spots and park it all sideways in his parking lot and go walking in there, dust and dirt and horse shit on my boots. And I'm just coming in to see Steve, I'm cruising. I tried to get the secretary, like, no, he said just stop by. He said stop.
Yeah. I was in the area.
And he heard in the back from his office. He kind of heard, and he walked out the hall. And I saw him kind of peek around the corner, and he's like, "West," and I'm like, "Steve, come on!" And I was like, "Yes!" So that's where it started. And from then on, Dr. Steve and I have just been collaborating back and forth, and he has shared the insight of how the horse works with me that really opened things up. That was the beginning of a 12-year journey. I mean, that was the beginning.
Yeah. And so where do you go from there? Are these Mustangs trained yet? Are you using the Mustangs?
I'd had a few at my ranch that I was, in the process of training, but when I connected up with Dr. Steve and he was telling me some things to go home and look for and some things to go home and to kind of set up with the horse and then watch their neurological change or watch these their changes and what they would do. And I remember in his office, he was like, "Wes, don't just take my word for this. Go home and take this to your horse." That meant everything to me. I was like, "Oh, okay. Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but I don't understand what you're saying. But let me go try to do what you're saying, apply this with my horses,
Yeah.
and then see what happens." And my horses displayed the exact behaviors that he said they would. Like they did the things, they blinked their eyes, they lowered their head, they softened their ears, they licked and chewed, they took a big breath. They did all these things. I was like, this guy's magic. How does he know how this is all going to happen? Like it was, anyway, that just got me hooked. And so from then on, it was just a series of, I'm only going to do what I can connect to science. Like it has to make sense to me scientifically through Dr. Steve before I do the things with the horse. And that was I've since developed my entire horsemanship program based off of that over the last 12 years.
Yeah. So how did that change your approach, and like what things were you able to apply that changed what maybe you were doing before or thought you should have been doing?
It created much more of a reciprocal conversation between me and the horse. Instead of it being, "Hey, do this thing," and telling the horse, "Do this thing, do this thing,
Yeah.
do this thing," whatever it is, do this thing, do this thing. Now it was more of a question of like, "Hey, can you do this thing?" I set it up much softer, like the pressure was softer, and I was waiting for much softer responses from the horse, of the horse saying, "I'm trying," or "I'm looking, I'm seeking, I'm trying to find what you're saying with your pressure." I watched a lot more to see that soft communication from the horse back. Whereas before I wasn't watching for the horse other than do the thing, do the thing, do the thing, do the thing, whatever it was. I wasn't looking for anything except the thing getting done. I missed all of this soft communication before that. I just wasn't even looking for it. That really set me back. That it's so much so that I just stopped what I was doing and just scrapped it all completely. I was like, nope, I am starting over at zero. and I'm going to
Mm,
figure this out. It took me another 8 years to really get that dialed in, but that was my focus. I was like, I'm not focused on an end result. I'm focused on what's happening right now in real time, back and forth. That's what matters, not where I'm going. Where I'm at,
yeah.
happening right now. That was a big change.
Yeah, and I wonder if that's one of the keys to it being Mustangs because that was also something that changed for me. Like I tried to use the kind of traditional quote unquote methods where it's kind of you're the boss, you tell them what to do. And when that wasn't working, that's when I started realizing I need to learn more and where it got to the point where you start learning the body language and what they're trying to communicate and how you can communicate with them.
Once there's a reciprocal conversation, meaning it's kind of a two-way thing,
Mhm.
neurochemically opens the horse up. Like that starts to, you're starting to eliminate the fear and the caution, right? It's starting to go down because the horse is like,
Mm,
oh, you see me, you hear me, you feel me. Like this is,
yeah.
I have something to say here. When the horse tunes into that and they feel that, that starts to lower their guard. And Mustangs have this super high self preservation. So they're very much on, oh no, I'm leaving. That's it.
Yeah.
And so once that reciprocal conversations, the reciprocity starts getting into play, oh man, they just start melting and melting and melting. You can just, the fear and anxiety just starts dropping off of them. Yeah, that was a big deal.
I love that. Yeah, I've never heard it described that way, but I've definitely seen that and what a change for them to go from, "We're gonna make you do this by making you tired or waving things at you,"
Yeah.
to, like, "Let me look at you and see what this kind of does when I try this and how this might be different." That's really cool.
Well, what helped me really, I didn't understand that at the beginning, but I do now as my knowledge has deepened. But if we're trying to either teach or show a horse to do a thing, whatever that is, load in a horse trailer, be saddled, be bridled, walk across the mud, whatever the thing is, if there's caution in the way, if the horse is in a space of some self-preservation, what that is on the inside is cortisol and adrenaline. Okay, and if we're being influenced by cortisol and adrenaline, us humans, imagine that you're very scared and very worried about what you're
Yeah.
doing, and there's pressure there that's just pushing you to do this thing. You might do the thing just out of your own self-preservation of like, okay, just to get the pressure to go away, right? You'll maybe jump in the trailer,
Yeah.
but that doesn't mean you're okay with being in the trailer. That
Yeah.
You did it out of self-preservation. So when we slow that down and we have the reciprocal conversation, and the horse can actually be like, feels like it'd feel good if I stepped my foot up here in the
Yeah.
trail. And then you can talk with the horse, be like, yep, there you go. There's a release. Like, I don't want you to get in the trailer. I just want you to look at the trailer. Or I want you to touch the trailer. Or I just want you to be curious. Once that self-preservation gets out of the way, right, we're lowering that fear and that fear, releasing the cortisol and the adrenaline. We're bringing up the learning neurochemicals, dopamine and serotonin. Right now, the horse is calm, engaged. We're having a two-way conversation. Well, now when they step in the trailer, they want to be there. They've sought it out. They've found it on their own. That is night and day different to the horse
Yeah.
who's being told what the answer is or where to go find it.
It sounds like the difference between an automatic reaction where the horse is just reacting, where some may react and go in the trailer, others may react by kicking out, rearing, all those problem behaviors we see, versus really being able to use the thinking brain and decide not because that's what they're automatically. Yeah, that's really neat.
On Exactly. And I even, the term of using the thinking side of the brain, and it's not so much that as so much as like getting the neurochemistry in the
Hmm.
right space so that the brain can be active. Because when we're stressed and anxious, we operate on reactions, right? That's mother
Hmm.
nature, that's protection, that's self-preservation. We react to the environment or the situation. But when we're calm and we're feeling safer, we have the neurochemicals of learning, dopamine and serotonin. This is where we have responses. Responses are entirely different than reactions.
Yeah.
So if you look at your horse and you're like, man, he's very reactive, I hear my horse is extremely influenced by cortisol and adrenaline. Let's change that, right? Because that's not going to get any learning done. We're not going to learn anything on cortisol and adrenaline. So that's got to change. And that's the program. That's kind of what I've developed. How do we change that, right? How do we get out of that and get into the learning side? And it's not necessarily the part of the brain, it's just the chemistry that's influencing everything. Because if we have cortisol and adrenaline influencing everything, we're going to have reactions.
Yeah.
If we have dopamine, serotonin influencing, we're going to have responses. And responses you can build. We can build all kinds of responses.
Yeah. And so have you seen that also change with people from where we're also reacting to what the horse is doing
A
when
hundred.
you give that new view?
I learned this. I've learned so much about life, Shalisa, from these horses. Like
Yeah.
I remember working with those Mustangs early on when I didn't know what I didn't know. But one thing that I figured out was I have got to stop reacting. Like when this horse flinches, I can't flinch back. Like I have to
Yeah.
stop reacting because the horse would flinch, I would flinch, the horse would flinch, I would
Yeah.
flinch, the horse would kick, I would fall. I'm like, this has got to stop. Like this is not a good model. Like, and I was trying to figure that out. I was like, how do I stop having these reactions? Right? That was me trying to lower my cortisol and adrenaline. Like I need to find a safer way to engage, and I had to change how I was approaching the horse because I was getting in too far, too deep, too fast. So I'm in here with all,
Yeah.
and I was in too close and too much happening. So I had to slow me down. Like I got to slow down. And I got to get out of the problem. I got to observe it from out here and take calculated, measured steps in with the horse. Like I can't just get in there because now we're both up here. So I got to come out. Let's relax. And then how do I build myself in and not have my horse go up?
Yeah.
It took some time for me to figure out, but that's the foundational principle that I'm teaching now. Like I spend all my time getting my clients to slow down, to get at the horse's level. You cannot go operating at human level. We're too freaking tight. We're too wound up. We're too instant gratification, too bang, go, go, go. Our horses don't operate at that space.
Yeah.
We can
And
get a lot done, but we got to slow down. We got to meet them where they're at, and that's what I spend a lot of time doing is just getting the human to slow down and actually engage and see and feel their horse. That's the biggest step that I do.
yeah, and I think from our experience, like humans don't do well operating at that level that we're supposed to. And it sounds like kind of what you went through. We're operating almost at a level that's not one that we can maintain.
It's not sustainable over time because here's what happened. Like if we are operating at that high stress and go level, something's going to break down. It's
Yeah.
just when and where and how bad, right? Are we gonna have a meltdown at the grocery store because the bag boy, bagged things up wrong or whatever, or we spilled the milk or something and we blow up? It wasn't the bag boy or the milk. It was the 500 other little things that we didn't take care of before that.
Yeah.
We're not having quiet time. We're not focusing on our breathing. We're not spending quiet time in nature. We're not relaxing. We're not healing ourselves so that we can go have this relationship with this sentient being, created. Like that sentient being, if you're gonna have a real relationship there, you gotta up your human game. If you
Yeah.
really have that connection, you've got to be connectable, right? You got to have something the horse can connect to. If all you have is offering is stress and anxiety, the horse reading that is like, no, that's
Right. Why would they want to be with us?
I'm not going to connect with that. And then
Yeah.
they tolerate, right? They'll kind of close off and tolerate us and do the things that we're asking because they're somewhat of a subservient beings in that sense. We're lucky horses don't know how strong, fast they are. I'll tell
Yeah.
you, because there's no way we'd be doing this stuff. If they had a cognitive brain that could evaluate all this and then play it out, no.
Yeah. It is incredible that any of them are like, yeah, let's go on a ride. Yes, I want to take you somewhere on my back. It is pretty incredible.
I look at it, Shalise, and Mother Nature left the door open inside the horse. The door it's barely open. There's a crack. It's just barely open. And it's available for man, for us to open the door and walk through. But we got to do it on the horse's terms. We got to do it at that level that we can peacefully enter that space. And when we can do that, there's a depth to learn about yourself.
Yeah.
There really is.
And again, I feel like the Mustangs have a superpower, whatever you want to say with that, because a lot of times other horses, domesticated horses, will maybe let us come in, do what we want, and they'll just be okay with it. But like
Yeah.
with my first Mustang, it was kind of like a hard no. We're not going to do it this way.
I describe to people that horses will make you earn your horsemanship. They're not going to give it to you like another domestic horse might.
Yeah.
If you're gonna have a real relationship with a Mustang, and you're gonna earn it. You gotta talk the talk and walk the walk. And it's not dominance. It's not force. It's not that level. I mean, you can do that. It's an entirely different experience.
Yeah.
You understand how to do it at another way. Like, you understand a lot about yourself. Yeah, you have to understand a lot about yourself to enter at that space. You can't fake it. You can't you can't walk out to your Mustang and be like, okay, I'm all zen.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
great when you're a freaking basket case on the inside. No, they ain't buying
Yeah.
it. I'm not doing it.
Yeah, and for me with my Mustangs, that was a thing. They gave me a lot of personal insights into like, so say something was going on in my regular life, I'd go out with the horses and be like, "Oh, this kind of matches up. I see some connection there." Did
Yes.
you find some of that also?
I did with that very first Mustang that I adopted. The very first one, I started to tune into it then. I didn't know what I was tuning into, but I remember telling my wife, I was like, I'm approaching this Mustang the same way I approach life. I don't think that's a good way, because I was coming in my way.
Coming in hot?
Yeah, we're doing this today. We're doing this. We're doing this. And I just noticed, I'm like, I'm showing up with this Mustang the same way I show up with everything. And I just lost everything.
Yeah.
Do I want that same cycle to repeat? Because if I do, keep doing it the same way I've always done it, and I'll have the same experience I've always had. So
Yes.
if I want a different experience, I gotta change me. I gotta change my approach to this if I want to experience something different. And that was my first little bit of awareness, was those first few months with that wild horse. So I was like, wow, this is not gonna work. This
Yeah.
is not gonna work.
And what an incredible lesson, especially in this day and age, because a lot of it is, things are in your control. You can have things how you want, or you should, when a lot of the time it's something we need to change within ourselves to change the outcome.
I'm learning, the more I change me on the inside, the more my outside world changes. So if there's something in my outside world that I'm maybe not liking or not enjoying as much, I'm learning to not focus my attention on that outside thing and go try to change or control or manage it. Like, no, let me go internal. What is it about me that is creating that, or facilitating or driving that? How can I change me? And then that will change. That,
Yeah.
I'm learning, is much more productive. It takes time, it takes patience, and it takes awareness, but that's the better result and change for me in life. Rather than trying to control the exterior, I'm now working way more on the interior. Like, let me get my heart and soul right. Let me get me right. And
Yeah.
that thing out there will get itself right.
Yeah.
I don't need to go put a whole bunch of pressure and work and control on that thing. Let me go back here and see if that changes. And I'm seeing that it does.
Yeah, which I think is great. It's hard to take that on ourselves though, because it's so much easier to think it's someone else's problem, somebody else's fault, but to realize that there are things that we can change within ourselves, things that we can do better. It gives us the power back, but it also is a lot of responsibility and kind of a ouch sometimes.
It is, but I feel there's a bigger win in it. And this is the same win that I try to create with the Mustangs, well, with any horse when in training or working with them. When we can work internal and create our own sense of internal safety, meaning, I am enough, instead of, oh, that thing is bugging me because, XYZ isn't, I'm not good enough, or I don't know how, or whatever. Like, when I can internalize it, be like, I am enough and I am learning. And that's all I need to know. Like, let's go into the world with that. I'm enough and I'm learning. Taking that internal sense of safety so that you can try new things, you can
Yeah.
go new places, you can meet new people, right? You have that sense of value in yourself. In teaching and working with the Mustangs, getting them to where they have that same sense of internal, the term is internal safety, that they feel safe on the inside. And scientifically, what that means is you've got the right neurochemistry on the inside, that they feel good. They feel
Hmm.
calm. They feel confident in themselves. Then take that and go out into the world. Go to the horse show, or go on the trail ride, or go down the road to your neighbor's place, or go ride on the side of the roadway, whatever that is. When they have that internal sense of safety, they can take it with them versus we take the horse and we go into a new environment like, oh no, there's too much traffic and there's a kid riding a motorcycle and the wind is blowing today. I can't go ride. Right? That's all external stuff.
Yeah.
So if our horses are having big reactions to that, they're not internally feeling safe. So let's go back and work on the internal, and that will change the external.
Yeah. I love that focus on a personal level, just that you're learning. I think so often we have these outcome
Oh, I'm
expectations, things that we should meet rather than like, hey, I'm learning. That's the expectation right there, is that I learned something. I did something better this time than I did last time, or I learned something new.
that's been a journey for me, Shalise. I'm just barely able to kind of speak it and say it, like, but I'm pretty much the hardcore guy that no, I won't ask for directions. I'll drive 500 miles in the wrong direction because I'm not going to ask. Like that's been
Yeah.
me. Like I'll figure it out. Like I don't need nothing. And I've done that so many times, and I've experienced so much struggle with that. I'm like, that's not no. I'm learning. Like it's okay. Give some space for me to be human, for me to be me. It's okay. I'm okay. They're okay. They're doing their thing. I'm doing my thing.
Yeah.
Try to be okay with that.
Yeah, I love that. It's definitely not just you. I think it's a very typical mindset that we're really just grown with,
Our
from when
society,
we're young.
yeah, our society, we get programmed in a sense, just to be that. Like, no, just look like this, have the right job and be in the right
Yeah.
neighborhood or all the right things. That's what's important. Don't worry about what you feel like. No.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, I've been doing this, I just turned 54 this year and I'm really dialing in that no, figuring me out is the way to figure everything else out. Not try to pretend I know everything about everything or figure me out. Find me, be the best me
Yeah.
I can be, and that'll be enough. That'll work.
Yeah. It's a hard lesson to take in our culture, because you're right, it is all the things that we should be doing, and it's hard to walk away from that. You kind of got pushed away from that.
Yeah.
But it's hard to go against the norm and say, these aren't the things I'm going to care about anymore.
I think we get, or at least I did anyway. I'll speak for myself, and maybe others can relate. But we get a sense of a fear of failure. Like,
Hmm.
oh, yeah, I would love to have that job or something, but what if I don't get hired? Or the failure part all comes in,
Yeah.
and taking that over. And one of the fun things that I love working with horses and with people that I love is, like, I'll teach somebody a new concept or a new thing to do with their horse to go watch for or whatever, and then my next instructions in our coaching calls, I'm like, go out and go fail at this at least 5 times.
Hmm.
Go out and purposefully watch yourself fail. You must fail at this several times. It is required. And just me setting that context, because a lot of my students were replying back, like they would send me in their evaluation video, like, oh, it's so terrible. It's not good. Like it was a horrible session. We found more stuff to talk about in that horrible session. Like we could talk for 2 hours about a 3-minute video clip of failure. I'm like,
Yeah.
well, this is where the learning is. Go fail, go struggle,
Yeah.
because that's where we find improvement. Like, oh, it didn't work. Okay, that approach didn't work. Let's change this, slow your breathing down, get a little quieter, move like that, whatever it is, make some adjustments, go fail again. Okay, now
Yeah.
back, let's adjust, now go fail again. That is actually the learning model. Like
Yeah.
we need failure, we need struggle. It needs to be hard. And then that's where we get the biggest learning. That took me a while to get that concept.
Yeah. It's a hard one to grasp. And we're so hard on ourselves for things that don't really matter. And yeah, it's a tricky one for sure. I think it's definitely something I'm working on. Like, failure is an opportunity to learn. It's a good thing. It means you're going outside your comfort zone. But it's hard
Exactly.
when our whole life we've been taught, like, you need straight A's, you need the best job.
Yeah. See, and the horses kind of helped teach me this because, like, in my mind before, if I was trying to get a horse, to load in a horse trailer, and if I was in trainer mode, like, okay, I'm training this horse to get in the trailer, there was a lot of things I did to pressure, to get that horse in the trailer because that was the objective. But I missed all of the little things of the horse exploring and, trying and not getting in the trailer, right? They might,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden, like, nope, that's as close as I go. In the past, I would have said, no, you got to get in. Like, we got to get in. And then that's where that's where it is.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's so much more of like, all right, let's just start talking from wherever you're at. You're 15 feet away from the trailer. Great. Let's start right here.
Yeah.
Let's start relaxing right here. Can you relax 14 feet from the trailer? Okay, great. How about 13? How about, and I just working that out, because there's a bunch of failure, but you fail at that enough times. The last thing to fail on is you're in the trailer.
Yeah.
And when all that failure is not painful or overstimulated, then the next time you can walk that horse up there and you're like, hey, do you want to fail at getting in the trailer? And like, I'm pretty good at failing.
Yeah. What a change in attitude if we look at it that way. I'm good at failing.
I'm
Yeah.
good
I
at
love
failing.
that.
I failed last time here and here and here and here and here
Yeah.
and here. And then they turn around like, and I'm in the trailer. Like, am I still failing? Like, what do we do now?
Yeah.
It's an entirely different mindset to look at it. And by doing so, it changes the neurochemistry on the inside of the human and the horse. And that's where things really happen.
Yeah. How powerful our thoughts are.
Yeah. I had a funny picture of this from one of my students today. She's got 2 yearling Mustangs that she just started, and we're doing this online coaching, and she's getting herself going with these Mustangs. She sent me a picture today, and she's like, am I doing it right? And both of her Mustangs are loaded in her trailer. Like, she just had them turned out in the trailer, and she was out there trying to lead another horse to put him in the trailer. She comes around, and both of these yearlings that she can barely halter and lead are in the trailer.
Yeah.
They're in my trailer, and I got my riding horse I'm trying to load in. She was just blown away that they would even go explore it. But
That's funny.
they had enough safety on the inside that they were like, what's this thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy.
You're definitely doing something right. Now you have to figure out what it is.
It was cool. It was really neat. But
Yeah.
they just felt safe, and they're like, sure, let's go explore inside this, traveling time machine. Let's just get in and
Yeah.
check it out.
And that is such a big part of it with people and horses is just being able to feel safe.
Well, think, Shalise, what if you could go anywhere and just go try anything and not have it be viewed as a failure? You did it wrong. You could just be like, you know what? I'm going to go try painting. Yeah, I don't know, whatever something is. And you just went in with it, just like, this is the funnest thing. And maybe your painting it's just
Yeah.
you, it's horrible, whatever. It's just a big mess. But the whole experience that you had, you just tried, you just did things without worry, without concern, without the self-sabotaging talk. That's
Yeah.
that's a big deal, to just be able to go have those experiences.
Yeah. That is really neat. So, somewhere in your journey with Mustangs, you had a big accident.
I did. I did. And it was a turning point for
Yeah.
sure. I was just barely the I wouldn't even let anybody call me a horse trainer. Like, that word, I didn't feel like I was that guy. Just
Mm-hmm.
anyway, so it was just so new in my mind. But I got into a bit of a wreck with a horse that had some pretty severe trauma. But I didn't know anything about trauma. Like, I just didn't even know how to look for problems, really. Like, I was still in the early stages, but this horse had some trauma triggers that I unknowingly kind of activated those triggers. And she blew up, like, just had just a complete out of body trauma experience. I mean, she just lost her mind, and I was in
Mm-hmm.
the middle of it. And I ended up, she was just really rearing up and bucking. I was in the saddle, and she went down one time. And when she went down, I kind of got slung over the front. And then when she rocked her head to come back up for that next big jump, I was coming down, and the back of her head landed about on the bridge of my nose and on this left side of my face. And it just destroyed the inside of my face. Like, everything got broke in there. My eye socket, my skull got cracked, my nose got demolished, my top palate of teeth, my jawline was completely separated from my skull,
Mm-hmm.
cracked down the facial skull. It was a bad deal.
Yeah.
I ended up in an ambulance, obviously trying to get to a care center, for somebody to put that back together and figure that out. But there was a time in the ambulance, Shalise, I'll share with you, that I wasn't really conscious, but I had some awareness. And this is just
Mm-hmm.
what I remember kind of feeling. It wasn't so much that I could tell everything, but just a feeling. But I could hear the siren. I could hear the EMT crew, and they got the suction thing. They're just trying to keep my airway open because there was a lot of internal bleeding, and just nothing was in my face was in all the right places, and so things were just a mess. And as they were trying to kind of keep my airway going, I had a bit of an awareness, maybe consciousness, but in that moment, I couldn't tell whether I was alive or dead. I was just like feeling the environment, like I could see the EMT lady, I could hear the sirens, I could feel the rumbling of the ambulance, I could feel all of those things, but I was just conscious, and the thought was, I can't tell if I'm alive or dead. Like there wasn't a
Mm-hmm.
space to access to answer that question.
Mm-hmm.
That was that was alarming
Yeah.
to just have this. What do you do with that? I was like, well, no, I need an answer. Like
Yeah.
the only thing that matters here is the answer.
Right. Yeah.
Couldn't find it. I couldn't find the answer. That was a hard reset to my soul. That was a hard reset, and it shook me that I couldn't tell. I didn't have any big thoughts about, oh, my wife and my kids. Like, that didn't really come into my mind. I was just paralyzed that I couldn't find that answer. And then some moments later, just a thought or a message came to me, and it was, West, are your relationships in order? Just that simple sentence.
Mm-hmm.
I sat with that, and I was like, are my relationships in order? And I was kind of trying to think that. I was like, what does that mean? I can't tell if I'm alive or dead. Are my relationships in order? Like,
Yeah.
what is going on? And then I had another little bit of information come through that just said, because there is no time. So I was struggling with the question, are my relationships in order? Because there is no time. And I just let those land with me and be with me. And then I woke up the next day in the intensive care unit and really got to have a dark night of the soul conversation alone in the ICU at like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning whenever it was. Nobody was around in my room, just the hospital equipment beeping and the things going. And I'm just sitting there like, man, the last thing I remember is I couldn't tell if I was alive or dead. And I'm looking around, I'm like, okay, I'm alive.
Yeah.
Okay, wow. Are my relationships in order? Okay, that feels like that's an important thing to always know. My relationship with myself, my relationship with my spouse, my kids, my community, my neighbors, my whatever. Just are they in order? It doesn't say they have to be good or bad. It was just,
Yeah.
are they in order to me? Like,
Mm-hmm.
are they, and I don't know, maybe that means order is in importance, or in order like they're fixed and repaired. Like, that's been a constant variance that I've had in my life since then, because some of my relationships in my life, by my own definition now, are not in order. And I'm okay with that right now. Like
Yeah.
that relationship, I guess maybe it is in order. It's very distant. I do want to fix it at some time, but I don't know. Right now, it's just that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, that's been a journey to get through. But laying there in the hospital, that the key moment that kind of came to me, like I was laying there and I was like, well, here's your chance to get out of the horse business, West. You, you
Yeah.
made
Yeah. You have a good excuse now.
here's your excuse. If you're looking for one, here it is.
Yeah.
And nobody's gonna doubt you or say anything if you decide,
Yeah.
this isn't working for me. I'm gonna go back to whatever. But laying there, and so I was like, I had another, gosh, this was an impactful moment in my life. This whole experience with this horse. But laying there in the hospital, I had another, like these little moments just kind of have come to me that have just been pivotal.
Yeah.
And laying there in the hospital, the next message that came to me was, West, the story that you tell yourself about this experience will forever change your life. The story that you tell yourself about this experience will forever change your life. Didn't tell me what story to tell. It
Yeah.
just said the story you tell will change your life. Because I couldn't have the story, I'm not very good with horses. I almost died. This
Yeah.
is crazy. I think I want to go back to truck driving or something. I don't know. I go back to
Yeah.
excavation or construction or something like this. And I sat with that. I let that sit there for a minute. And I was like, okay, the story I tell. But the first question that came up, I was like, are you in? Or are you out with the horses? Like, you got to decide that first and then tell the story. And I just laid there and took a big breath. And I was like, no, I'm in. I'm following the Mustang. Like, quitting this doesn't sound like follow the Mustangs to me.
Yeah.
So, okay, I'm in with the horse. I'm in.
And was that previous experience of kind of having that guidance that you should follow a Mustang, is that what kept you in? Because I mean, that's a lot of sacrifice to stay with the horses.
It did, because I felt so much more value. I felt so much better about me working with the horses than I felt about me working in construction or whatever. Like whatever, I've had a few careers, but none of them felt as true and as connecting to me as it did with the Mustangs.
Yeah.
So kind of when I lost everything, I was like, I got to go find me. And I got these Mustangs, and the Mustangs are kind of like, hey, well, we'll show you who you are if you follow us. And so now here I am in the hospital. I'm like, well, if you really want to know who you are and what you are, keep following the Mustangs. Like, we'll show you the way. So that was another decision. I was like, all right, I'm following the Mustangs. I'm in.
Yeah.
So then I had to tell the story. Now I had to write, what's the story? So I won't even call what happened an accident. I just call it an incident.
Yeah.
Accident portrays to me that maybe it shouldn't have happened.
Right.
Well, I don't know that I want to believe that, right? So I'm like, no, it was an incident. It's just it just happened. It was a thing that happened. I laid there in the hospital and I told myself, if I want to be good with horses, if I want to be able to connect with horses, if I want to have this, and I just felt it so magical to watch people work with horses that were really good and they were just in tune with the horse. Like I could watch that and I was like, I don't know what I'm seeing, but man, it looks beautiful. It looks awesome. I don't know what it is. I was like, if I want that, if I want to have that connection, I want to have that awareness, that openness, there's a big part of me that needs to change. And that big part of me is this ego-based, prefrontal cortex, the things I believe, the way I think and the way I perceive, seeing a lot of things, negatively or whatever. I wouldn't see them as my best benefit. But laying there in the hospital, I was like, I need to change. And I want to be more open. I want to be softer. I want to communicate better. I want to be more intuitive. Like these were all the things I was trying to saying about myself that I wanted to have.
Yeah.
And I was like, so that's the story I told myself, is I need to have a brain surgery that will make me be more intuitive, more aware, softer, more connecting, more understanding of people, more understanding of myself, love deeper, be more open, all these things. And I was like, but there's no doctor that can do that, right? You can't go, even if
No.
my scientist friend, Dr. Peters, I can't go to him and be like, hey, dude, I want you to go in and like do some things,
Change this.
do these things. You can't do it. So what was the one thing that could do it? The
It's the
horse.
horses.
The incident that I got in with the horse was my brain surgery. That's the story I told myself. No human doctor is going to go in here and make those changes for me. They can't do it. The horse can. That smashing of my face, the trauma, the impact, all the things that broke, everything that happened took me to the very edge of my life for however, just whether it was just milliseconds or whatever, that I couldn't tell whether I was alive or dead. That was the surgery, and the horse did that. So I tell the story that I just had a brain surgery performed by a horse.
Yeah.
And that's what opened things up.
Yeah.
Because going forward with that sounds very proactive and that's something I can work with.
Yeah.
But to say that I'm not good enough, or I'm stuck, or I'm too hard, or I'm all of it, right? Now I'm just in self-blame and just tearing myself up, and I'll never be good enough, and blah, 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 blah. I don't
Yeah.
have 10 years of horse, or 10 generations of horse experience. I can never do this.
Yeah. All stories that are really easy to tell ourselves.
Yep. That's the moment that I discovered the true value of storytelling to ourselves.
Yeah.
Whatever we tell ourselves, and so it is. Be mindful of what you tell yourself.
Yeah. What was that like going back with the horses after that accident? Did you have fear around it?
Woo, woo. Yeah, I was in the middle of another Mustang competition, so I had another Mustang at home that I hadn't rode yet. Like we were right after the first ride when this incident happened.
Yeah.
And oh yeah, going back and like, oh my gosh, like I've got this 100-day Mustang, and this thing happened to me, and I still want to show up and compete. Like, no, I'm not letting this stop me from doing what I want to do. So I got to get really close with my my oldest boy at the time. He was like 13, 14. He wasn't really into horses. He was the motorcycle kid. He was kind of motocross. I just asked, I was like, dude, can you come out and just let me coach you? Just come do what I say. I need to keep working with this horse. Anyway, so he and I worked together for a number of weeks, and he was doing the things to whatever I was kind of helping with the horse. And then I finally got cleared by the doctor. Like, okay, you can ride. Like,
you can jump on an untrained Mustang again after you just busted your face on a horse. Go ahead.
go get back in the exact same place you were just a few months ago that you almost died. Go
Yeah.
there and enjoy it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that was intense.
Yeah.
We didn't tell my wife. So what we did, me and my boy loaded up this Mustang. Like he put a few rides on in the round pen. And I really felt good. This Mustang was really, he was just a gentle, he was just calm. He was the right Mustang for me to have at this experience. At this,
Yeah.
again, follow the Mustang. This Mustang showed up in my life and was there and taught me so much about developing my training and work. So anyway,
Yeah.
me and my boy, we like load him up. We're gonna go down to the fairgrounds, and we don't tell my wife because I don't want her freaking out. Because I
Yeah.
want to ride, and
Your
she's
poor wife. I'll just put that in there. Your poor
yeah,
wife.
yeah, yes. We go down to the fairgrounds, get out there. We're in the arena, and I'm thinking to myself, I was like, oh my gosh, I gotta get on. I just gotta get on. I don't have to do anything. I just need to get on and know I can breathe. And like, so I've got my boy. He's holding him. Horse feels totally calm. He got on and off several times, walked around, like everything just looked and felt good. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, I get in the saddle. I was sitting there and I like try to feel myself breathe. I was like, okay, just one little thing at a time, dude. Just
Yeah.
get this in. And I'm sitting there in the saddle. I feel good, but my anxiety, like my chest feels like it's like clear out to here. And I'm just sitting there and I said, all right, I'm going to just take a couple steps. And I asked this Mustang, his name was Sheriff. And I asked Sheriff, I was like, let's just step forward. Let's just a couple of steps. I just need to feel things move, one thing at a time.
Yeah.
Take a step and a half. And then Sheriff, I swear he just felt my anxiety all over that was inside of me. I don't know. We took a step and he did like a just just a like a shoulder bump, something
Mm-hmm.
coming up. And then he did. And when he did that, actually, I probably went offline. Like I was just like dead again. Like I just
Yeah.
rose up and was just like, and then I took a big breath and I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't die.
Yeah.
Wow.
You're okay.
Wow. And then we kind of walked around a little bit. And from that moment on, I don't want to say that I'm totally fearless, like I've never been scared or anxious, but I've never been scared that something's going to happen like that again. And I've
Yeah.
developed my whole program to know how to read a horse neurochemically on the inside before I get on the outside. And
Yeah.
that moment really just, it anchored it into me so strong. And I was like, okay, keep going, dude. You got this. Just one step at a time. And from then on, it's just, we've been moving since then. Just been going, since that incident and prior to that incident, I broke my collarbone. I mean, I'd sprained my ankles. I'd twisted knees. I'd been kicked. I'd been bit. I'd had all of these bad, just
Yeah.
these things happen to me. After that incident in the hospital, when I changed that story and things changed, and I changed my entire approach to training and horses, like it all, I haven't been hurt since.
Wow.
But I've taken a hard look at every time I did get hurt, or every time I get a little something hurt, like I rewind it and I'm like, what led to that? What happened before I pulled my fingernail back on the saddle horn?
Yeah.
What happened before that? What was I thinking? Where was my energy? What was going on? Because I just felt pain. Every time I feel pain with horses now, I slow down. I'm like, lean into that. What happened before that happened? And man, I tell you, it's been a great insight. What I felt like on the inside was
Yeah.
out of alignment. A horse pulls back and I get some rope burn on my hand. I'm like, okay, what happened before? Where was I? Where was the horse? What didn't I read? What didn't I see? What didn't I feel? What didn't I connect with? Let me go back and identify that, because that's what led to me getting a rope burn.
Yeah.
That's been phenomenal.
Yeah, that's a piece we miss a lot, I think probably is it's not the horse pulling that you need to look at, but what happened right before that.
I made a T-shirt and a logo on my hat that says "Pain is a great teacher."
Yeah. Yeah. That's
and
true.
and
That's really true.
I love it. I mean, I can learn off of a simple little scrape, whereas before, I might need to have a cut with 5 stitches before I would tune in and be like, "What the hell's going on?"
Yeah.
I pulled the fingernail back a little bit now, and I'm like, "Ooh, what was I thinking? What
Hmm.
what was going on before that happened? Oh, that's right. I was kind of pissed off at the dog for whatever the thing the dog was doing.
Yeah.
You know,
So
yeah.
much more awareness.
That's where I'm finding the magic sauce.
Yeah. And so you wanted all these changes internally. Did the horses help you do it? And how did they help all those changes come about?
As soon as I made the change on the inside, they reflected the change back on their outside. Like they behaved differently. They did things easier. They did things softer because my communication was easier and softer and more precise. Like I learned how to communicate at the best, most optimal level for the horse, not the human, and not to get the thing done, but how do I connect and communicate with the horse
Hmm.
on their terms and get this right for them? And that's changing me because now I got to adjust me to match what's going on. And then how can I set this up? And that everything got easy after that. Now it takes an exorbitant amount of patience to learn that. But once you learn it, you don't want to unlearn it because you know
Yeah.
that's the way. That
Was
is
it
the,
was it hard? Did you find yourself reverting back to your old reactions?
and that's when I would get hurt, right? And that's when I would feel the pain, or I feel I'm like, okay, stop. What?
Yeah.
Okay, that's right. I was getting frustrated because that Mustang wouldn't, walk across the logs or wouldn't step onto the concrete. And I got a little up and I was trying to make it happen. And then he pulled back and jerked me on my face and I freaking scabbed my nose on the concrete. All right. How far back do I have to go to make that my fault? How far back in sequence in time do I take that to go, oh, clear back there is when I had that thought?
Yeah.
But when I unwind it that far and I can go back, okay, there's my accountability. Here's where I started the upregulation. Here's where I started adding the stress to me that I then added to the horse that led to this result. So if I go back and, okay, the next time I feel like that, the next time I feel that anxiety, stop right there. Be aware, count to 5, breathe 5 big breaths or something, like get your awareness back, and then take the next little step. So it's changed now to where, like, if I go handle and work with the horse, I can be so zen and so quiet and so on point, and it just takes me moments to engage with the horse and kind of get us together and working, and we can problem solve some really big problems that horse hasn't been able to work through with a human for its whole life.
Yeah.
I can get in there now in moments where before it took me weeks because I didn't know how to adjust me. I was
Yeah.
still trying to do it from up here when I got to get way down here. The biggest thing I've learned from the horses, whatever the big problem is that we're experiencing or feeling, my horse pulls back or he's anxious, he trots on the trail ride or he won't get in the trailer, whatever those big things are. The way to fix that, where's the root? That problem, where's the root? How small, how soft, how subtle can you go find the root to that problem? Start there.
Yeah.
And then after that gets worked on, they'll show you the next little thing. Work on that, they'll show you the next little thing. When you go in that sequence, the big thing goes away. But if we focus on getting the horse in the trailer, all
Yeah.
right, oh, put a rope around his butt, get some panels over here, 5 guys behind with flags waving, smack him on the butt, and we'll drive him into the trailer. Right now, we're focusing on the big problem.
Mhm.
We just took the big problem and made it bigger.
Yeah.
The problem isn't the horse getting in the trailer. There's a very small issue. There's something very small. Go fix that with the horse, and you'll build it up to where, like my client's got these yearling Mustangs that she's been working with me for, I think, 7 weeks online, and she's loading them in a horse trailer. Like, they
Yeah.
just load them in themselves.
Yeah, that's awesome.
We didn't train at all on how to get them in a trailer. We just got their mind right to where they had safety on the inside, and they just took it with them in the trailer.
Yeah.
That's been phenomenal for me. Find the big issue, but the solution to it isn't it. The solution is 100 little things that led to it. How good of a horseman are we to go find those little things?
Yeah.
That's been, and life is the same way. Life is the same way. Whatever problem I'm having with my spouse or my kids or my neighbor or whatever, like whatever the big thing is, there's a root. Take time to find the root and go start there and start to build that and work on that. The big thing will go away.
Yeah. Was that transformation hard for you to stay motivated during? Because it seems like we have these big outcomes that we want. You want to be softer, more intuitive, but it is really tiny steps to get there. How did you keep motivated enough to make
I,
that transformation?
I didn't know what it felt like to really be soft or have that level of communication. Like I could see it in some people, but I didn't know what it felt like.
Hmm.
When I was learning, any little thing that I got clear back here, any little thing felt glorious to me. So that was the reward. Like I was like, whoa, my horse licked and lowered its head and licked and chewed just like Dr. Steve said he would. Like that to me was like, wow.
Mm-hmm.
And I just build little things like that, just keep building. And I still get just blown away working with horses of how they show me the subtlety of how to get in and problem solve. So it's very rewarding. I was rewarded all the way through because I didn't know where I was going
Yeah.
necessarily. And so every little path along the way that was soft and intuitive, that felt good. And I would sit down at the end of the day and just analyze myself and kind of what happened. I was like, oh yeah, that went really good. And oh man, that went really bad. And, I would kind of parse that apart to find the common denominators in the bad and the common denominators in the good. And I just started doing more of the good things, like those little things that led to good things. And it just was so rewarding. I was excited to go slow. I was like, how slow can I do this with?
Mm.
And the horses just kept showing me back. Yeah, that's awesome. And slower.
Hmm.
That's awesome. And slower. And once I got dived into that and I started doing things at that space, I was fixing really big problems in a very short period of time because I was just going to the root and spending however long we needed to there. Traditionally, we skip the root because we go, let's spend 15 hours working on the big thing. Well, what if you spent 15 minutes on the little thing and that got
Yeah.
rid of the thing? Like that was things like that just started happening. I was like, whoa, this is like magic. This is horse magic. Like I gotta
Yeah.
figure this out. Like I just needed a few little free samples, man. I was hooked. I was like, doing this.
I'm buying.
I'm in. I did. I spent 8 years. Like I spent 8 years finding these things and just playing, exploring, and had all kinds of Mustangs and people coming to me. I was just in my own science experiment for those 8 years, like just playing with this. But I was following the model. Like you got to get the cortisol and adrenaline out, get the dopamine and serotonin in, and then do things there. Just following that simple little model. But it took me a while to figure that out. But
Yeah.
that has been the key. That has been like doing more exercises or more training with a horse that's stressed doesn't lead to better.
Right. Yeah.
That's not the problem. The problem is the stress.
Yeah. Right. We don't need to stress them out more. Right.
Doing lunging in a round pen for 27 laps in each direction for 26 minutes to an anxious horse does zero for that horse to not be anxious in the round pen.
Right.
Let's get rid of the anxiousness. Let's lower that, and it's very easy to do. It's just slow. We just got to slow down.
Yeah.
And the basic principle in it is immobility without fear. Like, can your horse stand still without fear? That's the first principle. So if any of your listeners or anybody like, what's the gold nugget here? That is the foundational gold nugget. Can your horse stand still without fear in environment A, which might be your corral?
Mm-hmm.
Environment B might be your round pen. Environment C might be your driveway. Environment D might be down the road. And environment C might be, with the fairgrounds or the trailhead or the competition.
Yeah.
That one principle, immobility without fear. Can your horse stand still and relax?
Yeah.
That's the magic sauce. I'll focus on that. That is the common denominator to not getting in the trailer, to not standing still for the farrier, to moving around when you get in the saddle, to tossing their head around on the bridle. Like all of the problems lead to that. That's one common denominator. And so that's where we start in our whole program is like, we're going to teach you and your horse to do nothing.
Yeah.
That's a whole concept. We're going to do nothing. Until you guys can stand still and do nothing, we're not going to try to do anything. If we try to do anything when you can't do nothing, we're not going to get anything done.
Yeah.
It's the simplest thing, but it's so profound. Profound.
And I like it too because it's a place you can work. You don't have to have round pens. You don't have to have any fancy halters or devices. It's really what it sounds like to me is entering your horse's world and staying with them, because that is what horses do. They're very good at standing still and being.
And it's funny is that's the hardest thing for. So a lot of my clients, I'll get them paired up with their horse and be like, okay, we're just going to stand still. So if your horse walks forward, I want you to address it. Okay. And they're like, okay, so watch your horse. You're watching your horse. Yeah, I'm watching my horse. Okay. Every time he walks forward, just address it. We're going to back him up. I barely turn my head on the horse takes a step forward and they're just standing there. They're like, they're not really watching. There's some going on
in their head.
Well, I got to pick the kids up in 47 minutes and then I got to go to Walmart and then the husband's going to come home. And then I look over like, your horse is walking forward. I'm like, Oh my gosh, now the horse is taking 7 steps.
Yeah.
You're getting the human aware of the horse takes some time. It takes some work. But that's really what it is getting the human aware of the horse, and then the horse can be aware of the human. Now that you're both aware of each other, we can put our attention together. Now we can learn something. We can start connecting. But if you're not aware and the horse isn't attentive, you're having this relationship out here. You're trying to do things, speaking 2 different languages and expecting it to work.
Yeah.
That's why we have problems.
How did you become okay with that lack of movement? Because, in our world, it's very much moving. It's hard. Like, I'll find myself, I'm just going to sit there and just be there. And then I get on my phone or start thinking about what I need to do. How did you also become okay with it doesn't matter if we're making progress, like we can just be?
It took me a little while to view that as progress.
Yeah.
But now I know that is priceless progress because I've been all the way through. I know what's on the back side of this.
Yeah.
I know how critical it is. And so I'm telling my students, I'm like, hey, I know it feels like you're doing nothing. I know this feels like really boring. You're standing here looking at your horse. Like, trust me, when people drive past my ranch, like the highway goes right past my training pen,
Yeah.
and so all the local ranchers and everybody drives by, guess what they see when they drive by my house? 99 out of 100 times, what do they see when they drive by? They see me standing there,
Everybody's standing around.
looking at a horse, and I might have a client or somebody with me. We're standing there just doing nothing.
Yeah.
I know how valuable that is. And so what I've learned in that time, I don't get on my phone because if I'm on my phone, I'm not on my horse. I'm not connected.
Yeah, no.
But during that time, I'm watching my horse's breathing. I'm watching their nostril, how it kind of flares up. I'm watching their eyes to see how they blink. I'm watching their ears to see where are they oriented to. I'm watching the height of their head. Is it coming down just a 16th of an inch at a time?
Yeah.
I'm watching their feet. Are they shuttling their weight to get more comfortable? I'm watching their tail. I'm watching all of these things while we're doing nothing. And all of that is the horse talking.
Giving you information.
Here's my down regulation sequence. Learn this because it's important to me as the horse. I need to go from here all the way down to here and I need to reset. And then you can ask me to do something else. And so as we do something, then we wait for them to come down and I'm watching all of those little things. You can just predict those nuances of how your horse talks. And that's very valuable to know as a horse handler of the horse. Like, ooh, my horse is coming down right now. We're going to do nothing for 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to wait. Oh, look at those eyes blinking. Oh, do you see how the ears just kind of turned off and laid back right there? I'm going to wait a little longer. Oh, see him shifting his weight? He's getting comfortable. I'm going to wait. Ooh, did you see that big breath that he just took? Oh, he's going to lick and chew. Right? You can sequence all of these things. That becomes so intriguing. So you're like Alice in Wonderland going down that freaking rabbit hole. Like you're just like in there, like, wow, what is in here?
Yeah.
And that's where you can build that connection because now your timing and rhythm and movement is all in harmony with the horse because you've been watching and engaging and getting all of this working to where you can interact together without creating the stress. So now if we're not creating stress, we're creating a learning environment. If we're in a learning environment and doing things, the horse is having these experiences that all feel good. There's not this stress, this big thing. They want to do more experiences like that. They naturally stay more relaxed. They're like, hey, it feels good to be relaxed. Let's go get in the trailer relaxed. How about we saddle relaxed? All of those things, you just set up the environment relaxing, and then they just self-regulate. That's the ultimate goal that we're trying to achieve with them is get a horse to self-regulate, meaning they can go up and they're like, and I'm going to come back down. I'm going to go up and I'm going to come back down on their own.
Mm-hmm.
We have to show them that we're patient enough for that path, and then they can do it on their own. But if they go up and then we try to do 2 more things, I'll just stay up.
Yeah.
Any time to come down? Okay, I'll just stay up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, do 5 more things. I'll just keep trigger stacking, and I'll keep trigger stacking, and I'll keep trigger stacking because I can hold all of this until they can't.
Right.
And then,
and then we have a problem.
Well, and then here's what I hear about it. They'll be riding their horse down the trail like, well, we've been on the same trail probably 50 times, and the same rock has been there. But I come by, 3 weeks ago, and he spooked and snorted and jumped sideways, and I fell off and broke my collarbone and all of these horrible things.
Yeah.
My horse needs rock training. Like, no, it's nothing to do with the rock. The rock was just the final thing. It
Yeah.
was the top.
Yeah.
Can't take anymore.
Yeah. That was a huge lesson I learned. Same thing that I do in my life. Let those things stack up until it gets to a crucial point where everything just falls down, explodes, whatever.
And that's natural. That's the natural cycle. But the more that you can be aware of that, right? As I can be aware of it for me, I'm
Yeah.
starting to feel myself on the way up and be like, you know what? Nope, I'm not going to let my old way of being take me clear to here because I used to be upset or mad about whatever. How about, you know what? I'm just going to pause right here, breathe. That's actually none of my business. I have no control over that. I'll let that go. And
Yeah.
then that's how I can self-regulate, right? And when we can do that, like we can really just, hey, same as our horses, can we just back up and stand still?
Yeah.
Can I just be attentive to the situation and be an observation of it instead of being in it? We're
Mm.
so wired to go get in it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
We're ready to jump in the dogfight.
yeah. Oh, like, oh, I'm and then blow it all up. And like, why did I even open my mouth? Like, that had actually nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
I could have just stayed back and was like, they'll work it out.
And let it resolve. Yeah.
There's a quote, if you let a problem sit long enough, a lot of times it'll work itself out. But as
Yeah.
soon as we find a problem, we dive in.
Yeah. This needs me to fix it for some reason.
What if we just sat here for an hour? What if this crisis moment or this text that I got, what if I let that sit for an hour?
Yeah.
Maybe it'll resolve itself. Or in an hour from now, my response instead of my reaction, because an hour ago I would have reacted when I got
Yeah.
the I let it sit for an hour, I might respond and be like, okay, yep, that's a valid point. Let me deal with that. Or, hey, this is really none of my business. Take it to the source. Like, you need to go talk to Sally or whatever.
Yeah. And so, how do all these lessons that you've learned, how has that changed you in your overall life? All the things that the horses have done. How is your life different than, right after everything crashed?
I'll just say it's entirely different. Like, there is no part of me that is the same. Looking back now, that was almost 15 years ago that the crash happened, and then 10 or so years ago that I got in that wreck with the horse. Nothing is the same. I am not the same human. I am just not. I think differently. I operate differently. I talk differently. My mannerisms are different. I behave different. My horses are different. Like, everything is different. And it doesn't mean I don't have stress or I don't have anxiety or I don't struggle or I don't have pain. I have all of those things.
Right.
I just deal with them a lot better than I used to.
Yeah.
I'm I'm learning that there's no avoiding the pain and the struggle of life. The magic sauce is really how I deal with it. What do I choose to do about whatever is happening? Like, a lot of it, I choose to do nothing. Like, not my business. Other
Yeah.
times, like, all right, no, this is my thing. Like, I want to figure this out. But the way that I experience struggle, embracing it rather than trying to hide from it or trying to go around it. Because I've learned that with the horses. Like,
Mm.
you have a little problem with your horse and you skip it, you cover it over, you get a workaround.
Yeah.
You create a workaround because you can't bridle your horse because they're sensitive about being touched up around their ears. So you create a workaround. You're building in a problem.
Yeah.
Same thing in life. Something is in life that is an issue, an antagonistic thing, and you create a work around it. Get ready. It's going to get you. It's
Yeah.
always going to be there. But when we can have this space of like, man, this is painful, it's uncomfortable, and it's a struggle, but I want to slow down and as safe as I can enter and try to go deal with this. That
Yeah.
then it's taken care of and it's diffused or it's relaxed or released, processed. Then we can move forward, and that thing isn't back here waiting and kind of sneaking up on you.
Yeah.
The horses taught me that. I mean, the horses taught me that hands down. I would notice little things about them, and I'm like, but I didn't know it was a problem until
Yeah.
I got hurt later by something. I was like, oh my gosh, that happened because of this thing and this thing and this thing that I've kind of created workarounds. Ooh,
Yeah.
I got to go undo those things if I don't want to have this big thing come out of the blue.
Yeah.
I got to go. I got to go take the time and go find the root.
Yeah.
Do something with
And
that.
we do that a lot with horses and in life where we're trying to find a solution instead of sit with the problem, face the problem.
I'm I'm embracing the work of going through the struggle. Like, the reward isn't outside the struggle. The reward is in it and through it. Like, you got to get
Yeah.
go through it to get the reward of it, the life reward. If we go around it, sure, we can get a temporary reward, and it's small and it might feel good for a moment, but that thing is still, we're still going to go around it all through our life. We're going to always go around that thing.
Yeah.
And it's always going to cause more stress and anxiety than the little reward you get by avoiding it.
Yeah. And as far as life goes, I think when we try and avoid the struggle or wish it away, it ends up hurting us a lot more than if we just go through it, face it, accept it as part of what has happened.
A good quote that I try to work with, that doing the hard thing now will make it easier later. Doing the easy thing now will make it harder later. So, and I'll be honest, sometimes I pick the easy thing. Like right
Yeah.
now, okay, I'm picking easy. And I also am accountable and aware that I'm going to leave it there and I'm going to have to deal with it later. I
Yeah.
make those decisions in the moment. Like, okay, that's it. But other times I'm like, no, fix the hard thing. Slow down right now. Fix the hard thing.
Yeah.
You want this to be easy later.
Yeah. And you also do relationship coaching and stuff. Is
Mm-hmm.
that correct?
Yeah, and it all kind of flows with the horses. Like,
Yeah. Tell me more about that.
my clients come to me like, "Hey, will you help me work my horse?" And I'm like, "For sure." And then in the coaching sessions, they see a lot. They learn a lot about themselves. Like they
Yeah.
really find out about themselves, because the horse is such a great reflector of that of that piece. So, and I'll do different like speaking seminars or different things for men's groups or any group really, but in offering that coaching, kind of that perspective of what the horse has taught me about me,
Mm-hmm.
and that's
Yeah.
really valuable to people. That we are the same. We operate neurochemically the same as the horse. The horse just doesn't have this prefrontal cortex to label everything and describe everything. And well, remember how I was telling you that, telling the story in the hospital, right? That so us humans, we tell stories about our experiences after they happen, before they happen, and while they're
Yeah.
happening. Like we're telling
All
stories
the time.
about it. Like that's, we can't not. We're wired that way. This prefrontal cortex dictates that's how we operate. We tell stories.
Yeah.
The horse has experiences
Hmm.
without the story.
Yeah.
So I kind of use the horse as a model with people of like, you can fix your problems just like the horse. We can work with them to work through their fear and anxieties. You just got to control the story. When we let the story be its own creation, and it's just a default story that maybe you learned from mom or dad or grandpa or older sister or brother or friend or neighbor, whatever the thing happened, and you told yourself a story about it, we can change that story. That story is only as valid as whatever we give it.
Yeah. And do you think that's just a matter of consciously changing our thoughts?
That's how science will prove that our thoughts lead to our actions, lead to our results, which leads to our story, which leads to our thoughts. We have this loop. The story is the variable. You change
Mm-hmm.
the story, it changes everything else. So changing that story, that's our coaching program in the human development side. Like when we have our human groups that aren't horse people necessarily, but they're just
Yeah.
wanting to change their story. Like we use the horse model to teach them how they can change that themselves. Because how else could we take a wild horse that's like lived out in the wild? It just blows me away that I can take a wild horse, wild animal, bring it into my place. I don't tell it any stories. I don't even speak to it in any words.
Right.
Just through body language and communication of building safety, that I can change that horse from being clear full of fight, flight, and fear to calm, quiet, and confident. How is that possible? And this is what I got asking myself this. I was working with the Mustangs and taking them from this crazy, wild, fearful state and getting them to this calm, quiet, confident state. And I was like, that's pretty incredible that this wild animal, that I can load it in a horse trailer now. Or I even took my Mustang in to go get a haircut one time. I went into my local hair salon. I asked the lady, like, can I bring my horse in? She's like, sure. I had a Mustang in the salon to go get a haircut because I could. I
Yeah.
was like, this is so cool.
Yeah.
And I'm asking myself, how is that possible? It's just a neurochemical change on the inside of the horse, that the horse feels safe in that environment. Well, it's our stories that create our safety or our fear in the environment. It's our stories. It's
Yeah.
not the environment. It's our stories about the environment. So when we can grab those stories, slow them down, and tell our own story in real time while we're in the environment, watch out. We can do some cool things.
I love hearing your story and everything you've learned from the Mustangs. I found the same thing, that they're just the best teachers ever if you're open to that. So I love the work you're doing. If people want to take advantage of it, we'll definitely list links and things in the podcast, but what's the best way for them to
For
take
sure.
advantage of what you do?
One, you can Google me. That's a great start. You get around that way. But my website is Wild West Taylor. My name is West, WEST, like the direction. So clarification there. But from the website, you can learn more about me there. And then I've got a button there that you can reach out and contact me, and whatever you want to talk about. If you want to set something up, that's a good way that way. Or any of the social media, Instagram, Facebook, Wild West Taylor on Facebook, and West Taylor on Facebook. On Wild West Taylor on Instagram. Reach out, say hi, and we can just start from there.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, and for the work you do. I love that you're using Mustangs to teach people and also to change the view that we have of Mustangs, because they are so sensitive. They so often get this view that they are dangerous, and they certainly can be. But I love that you are sharing the message that there's a way to work with them that's right and rewarding and helps the person and the horse at the same time.
I'm grateful for it. The Mustangs have shown me this, and that was part of that little agreement that we had, way back when in that meditation was, hey, if you'll follow the Mustangs,
Yeah.
we'll show you this path, and they've kept up their end of the deal, and I'm
Yeah.
continuing to keep up my end of the deal to just keep following the Mustang wherever they reach out, or wherever somebody reaches out, it's connected to Mustangs. I love it, and that's my path. That's my world that I'm wanting to stay in.
Yeah. It's an incredible story, and incredible just the things that you were able to do, which seems almost a typical story, like things hit really bottom, and that's when a lot of people start to learn a different way to live and really hone in on what we need as humans, because I think it's a hard world to live in to get a lot of those things that we really need. Thank you for joining us and learning about horses that heal and the humans who help them. We hope you'll continue with us on this journey. We'd love for you to subscribe on your favorite platform and follow The Touch of a Mustang on any of the major social media outlets. Please share with your friends, anyone who loves horses, or anyone who might be struggling and could benefit from this message. If you have felt the healing power of horses or help them in their divinely appointed mission, please reach out. We want to hear your story. As we say goodbye, always remember that the horse is always there to help you heal.